Good morning. Welcome to EduSat Network. Friend, we have organized series of lecture on services marketing, and today, in fact, we will discuss the introductory part. What is the services marketing, and what is services marketing? We will try to understand the an overview of the services marketing, and we'll also introduce what we are going to take up in subsequent lecture. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in studio Dr. Ravi Shankar. He is a senior academician, known name in the field of management education, and in last 3 decades as a teaching capacity, he has served in various institutions like MDI, Gurgaon, School of Management Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, IMC, and presently he is a professor in the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, one of the premier institutions of the country. And Dr. Ravi Shankar has written many books, authored many books, but the one book is very popular among the students is the services marketing, the Indian perspective. On the, in fact, this book is on the basis on which we will try to build up the lecture in electronic form of different topics regarding the services marketing. And there are many other books which he has authored. One more book I would like to tell you is the managing distribution is also very popular among management students. And Dr. Ravi Shankar is also a member of different academic council, academic committee in different national, international universities and institutions of repute. So certainly his knowledge and experience will help us to understand and give a kind of insight into the services marketing, what is it, and how one should do the services marketing. So on behalf, I welcome him for the EduSat lecture on this very topic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to all of you. This is a about 15 lecture series. So this is the first of the series. We will take you through a detailed understanding on services marketing step by step, and hope that large number of you will benefit from these discussions. So straight away I will go to the topic. The topic today is we will introduce the marketing of services and look at 2 things, particularly what do we mean by marketing, and again what do we mean by services, and what are the issues combining the two, what are the issues in marketing of services. And those issues we will discuss one by one in the subsequent inputs. So this is a broad platform or framework on which we will discuss. And if we look at the screens, then it's very clear that when we talk of defining marketing, then marketing definition is actually in terms of all American books talk about marketing as is a process, and maybe in Europe there is a thinking which is different, but the American books talk about marketing is a process. I personally feel that marketing goes beyond a process, because the process actually has following 4 forces. There's nothing wrong in it. That is one way of describing marketing, that there are different forces which affect your business. For example, there is a government behavior, the government forces affect the business, government decisions affect the business. For example, in the banking sector, which is a huge, big sector, there was a time in 1969, the then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, she nationalized banks, and she said that 14 banks will do the retail banking business in this country. But subsequently, the government decided and allowed the financial institutions to come into the retail banking. For example, ICICI, which was Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India, came into retail banking and became ICICI Bank. Similarly, Industrial Development Bank of India, IDBI, became IDBI Bank, and they came into so similarly HDFC, Housing Development Finance Corporation, which was purely in housing finance, came into the retail banking. So today these 3 institutions are actually giving you insurance, housing finance, consumer banking, mutual fund, many others. I think they are full service financial institutions. This happened only because the government took a policy decision in that regard. Similarly, if you look at the civil aviation sector in India, there was a time when there was only one, which was Indian Airlines, Air India in India. But then the government decided the open sky policy, and so many players came. Opening up of different sectors is primarily because of the government behavior, and therefore the government policies affect the markets, affect the business opportunities, affect the marketing strategies of companies. The second force which affects the business is called competition. Competition does affect the business. We have seen it happening that one airline started giving low fares, others started it, and that is where the consumer started getting benefited. One airline started flying aircrafts on time, others started it, and they realized, in fact, this is a very good, very healthy trend we have seen in the civil aviation sector. The third force which affects the business is the trade, which is middlemen. In fact, a large number of companies find it very difficult to reach out to the customers directly. They have to reach out to the trade first. For example, automobile sector. There are different dealers of automobiles. They cover the market. So large number of companies, they have to build a strong dealer network. In Europe, Fiat is a reliable brand. It's doing very well. It's not doing well in India. Why? Because they are unable to build a strong dealer network. Today, we talk about the fact that attraction radius is shrinking. Each one of us would not like to travel long distances. We would like to, we would like the thing should be available at our doorsteps. And that is where the trade becomes important. And finally, consumer preferences have changed over time. And that is where, the consumer behavior also influence the business. These are the four forces which affect the business, and based on which, if you look at the monitor, the marketing must have, the marketing department must address to these 10 or 12 dimensions, which is product planning, pricing, branding, channels of distribution, personal selling, advertising, promotion, packaging, display, servicing, physical handling, and so on. Now, this is what is the original concept which was given 40 years ago or 50 years ago by Neil Borden. Actually, 50 years ago, 1964, Neil Borden gave this concept. So that is the starting point of marketing, that marketing is a series of activities. But in 1973, it was simplified. And 1985, American Management Association gave this definition of marketing, that marketing is a process. Marketing is a process of planning. Marketing is a process of planning and execution. The conception, that you conceptualize a product. Like Mr. Tata, Ratan Tata had a concept of a people car, which became a reality in the form of Nano. That's a different story. The car perhaps is not doing so well as expected. But there was a concept of a car which became a reality. Then the pricing. Products sell because of the price. High price, low sales. That is what is a typical of India. Why LG is successful is only because of pricing. So in marketing, pricing has a very important role. And then promotion and distribution of ideas, goods and services. So this is the definition, and if you go to Google, and in Google you look at American Management Association definition given in 2002 or 2007, even those definitions talk about marketing as a process. But is marketing just a process? To my understanding, marketing goes beyond the process. So let us go back to the definitions, and definitions say that marketing is planning, marketing is execution, marketing is related to goods and services, but the 4 P's there. And Philip Kotler actually added, in 1986, he added 2 more P's, power and public relations. Philip Kotler said that as companies grow, they have market power and they exercise good public relations. Gypsy may have gone away from the consumer market. People like you or me may not like to buy Gypsy, but Gypsy is doing very well in the defense sector, it's doing very well in the B2B sector. And how it became possible? Because Gypsy is produced in the government sector, and maybe the defense found that it's economical, it is cost effective, it's reliable. But the fact is that Gypsy has taken over the Mahindra's village jeeps 100% in the defense sector. So is the case with the police forces, police departments, PWD departments, and so on. This vehicle is doing very well. So you exercise good public relations with different agencies. So the original concept of 4 Ps extended to 6 to further 3, which means that in the services we say it's the people who make the difference. In the service organizations, people matter a lot. All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi is perhaps the finest medical institution in India, but maybe there the doctors are not motivated. Maybe there are other hospitals, private hospitals, where the doctors are highly motivated. Then we look at the delivery processes. Delivery processes are critical. The only reason why FedEx, DHL, that kind of courier companies are so successful, because they have foolproof delivery processes. Anytime, anywhere, within 72 hours, they deliver. Now, that kind of promise they gave, and they have developed a foolproof delivery process. And finally, we look at the physical evidences. A good medical doctor will have a good atmosphere and give physical evidences of that nature. Will you go to a doctor and where the bed sheet on the diagnostic table is dirty? And they manage the physical evidences, and that is where in the services sector these 3 more Ps get added. So friends, from 4 to 6, 6 to 3, 9, and one can keep going further. For example, I would like to add 2 more Ps. One, we call it packaging. In manufacturing sector, in the services sector, packaging is very important. Look at the sachet segment. Look at large number of products are available today in rupee denominators. You don't care whether it is 37 gram, but yes, today 10 rupee, in 10 rupees you get Dove toilet soap. Or 5 rupees you get some chocolate, Kit Kat or Perk, whether you get 27 grams or what, you don't care what you are getting. Or Pepsi for 8 rupees, you don't care whether it's a 200 milliliters or 250 or 300. But that is where we call packaging has become extremely, extremely important. And that phenomenon was observed that large number of people, particularly urban poor and the rural masses, they buy goods in rupee denominators and not weight denominators. And goods should be available, packaged goods should be available in rupee denominator packaging. And that is how packaging is a very important variable of marketing. And finally, the positioning. Large number of products are able to create an image for themselves in the market, and they sell because of the image they are able to create. So the positioning is very important. So friends, these 11 Ps, where do you stop the buck? One can keep adding more Ps, and therefore what is more important for you to understand, ad hoc additions cannot be the core. There will always be a core. And what is the core concept of marketing? These 4 Ps to 7 Ps to 11 Ps cannot be the core. What is the core concept of marketing? Let's go to the core. And I think North American model, which you used to read in the American textbooks, because the Indian editions of those American textbooks are available everywhere. I strongly believe that let's accept it with a pinch of salt, and needed a deeper. There is a need to have a deeper understanding of marketing. The most important issue in marketing actually is to establish, strengthen, and develop customer relations. And these relationships are commercialized. Look at yourself. If you don't have any problem with the SIM card which you have in your mobile phone, you will not change it. You will be very happy. If you are continuing with Airtel, you are happy with Airtel, you will keep the Airtel. You will not move to Idea or any other. So that is what it is. In the services sector, that holds very true, that you continue. If I have a credit card of a particular bank and I am happy with it, my statements are always correct, I am never overcharged, I am happy with it, and I don't mind to change. I'll continue with that credit card or debit card. So this is where we call that in the services sector, more importantly, this definition applies very well, that the most important issue in marketing is to establish, develop, and strengthen customer relations. And this task of building customer relation is spread over a very large part of the organization. In the service sector, marketing is departments may not exist. There are some service organizations where marketing department may not exist. For example, in the police department, there may not be a marketing department. Maybe in a water or electricity authority, there may not be a marketing department. Maybe your college may not have a marketing department. So, but they do have a task of marketing. All India Institute of Medical Sciences, they may not have a marketing department. So, large number of organizations may not have a marketing department, but they are in marketing. Indian Railways doesn't have a marketing department, but they are in marketing. So, hence, task of building relationships and strengthening relationships is spread over every part of the organization. Every employee is contributing to building relationships, and that is where we say that marketing is more than a process. That is the first level, that the definitions which we talked about, American definitions, they hold true, that at the first level, yes, marketing is more than a process performed by a few people. Maybe they are confined to the marketing department, but marketing goes beyond it. Marketing is an orientation towards customers. Whether the employees have that kind of orientation towards the customers, maybe when we go to the nationalized banks, the employees don't have that kind of an orientation. But when we go to ICICI or HDFC, they have a better orientation. Then the orientation towards the market. Like the Indian companies, they know the African markets will grow for us. Southeast Asian markets will grow for us. Some of the service organizations, like particularly in the healthcare sector, Fortis and many others, they have now setting up hospitals in Africa and in Southeast Asia, knowing that a lot of patients are coming from those regions in the hospitals of Delhi. So they are cultivating that market by their physical presence in those markets. So that is the orientation toward a market. Today that market is not with us, but tomorrow it will be. In 10 years down the line, we will get major businesses out of that market. The Indian hotel industry, now they see that hotels 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, the hotel industry was thinking our job is to sell room nights. Our business comes from room occupancy. Today, now they feel that food and beverage, banquets, marriages, large parties, they contribute as high as 50 to 60% today. So even a large number of hotels are looking at food and beverage, parties, marriages, banqueting sales as a major market. So that to that extent I call that a market orientation. At the third level, we call it marketing is a philosophy of doing business, which is where you combine the two, that your understanding about the market, and then you have your delivery process. And finally, I go even a step further, where I say marketing is a culture which you create in the organization, where that culture is reflected in the employees, whether you are able to create customer-centric employees or not. If you compare the culture, employees' culture in the government hospitals versus private hospitals, you don't need any further example. You definitely see that marketing culture does exist in private banks, but that doesn't exist perhaps in the nationalized banks. And nationalized banks are now getting geared up to serve the customers, because they also know that the market is becoming highly competitive. So friends, when you talk of marketing is just not selling. Most people think that marketing is, it's a different word for selling. Marketing is not selling. I think these 4 points which as I have mentioned, they give you a very clear understanding of marketing, that marketing is a process. Where in the process you combine different elements like product, price, place, promotion, physical evidences, physical facilities, maybe positioning, maybe delivery processes, and so on. But it goes beyond that the marketing is an orientation toward the market. Which market? Identify the market segment for your businesses and start developing marketing programs for those markets. And the third is the marketing is a philosophy, which means that the concern for a customer must trickle down to every single employee of the customer. This is the philosophy of the business. And that is where Peter Drucker, who is a great management thinker, he has written that concern for customer must trickle down to every single employee of the organization. And that is what is the core of the marketing, and to that what I call creating and developing the culture. That culture exists in private airlines or the international airlines. Perhaps it doesn't exist to that extent in the national carrier. So, friends, this is a recap on understanding of marketing. And let's now move to the services sector. The service sector is a huge sector. It could be healthcare, it could be professional services like CA, legal, architect, financial services like banking, investment, insurance, hospitality like restaurants, hotels, motels, resorts, travel like airlines, travel agencies, theme parks, even road transport, buses and all that. And there could be a whole lot of other like hair styling, pest control, plumbing, lawn maintenance, consultancy services, health clubs. And today it goes beyond it. Because even a service organization may even outsource services. I can speak of my institution where I work. We don't have a legal department, but if there is a legal case, we have 2-3 lawyers on our panel, and they work for us on the retainership basis. So we hire the legal services of a law firm. Transportation, we don't have a fleet of cars because we are in the center of Delhi, and a lot of taxi operators are available. So if at all anybody is requiring a transport, we just ring up the taxi operator to supply us a car. Catering and food services, we don't have our own contractors, but we have outsourced to the IRTC, for example. Security, cleanliness and landscape, we don't have our own employees doing it, we outsource it further. Recruitment and training, many organizations, even recruitment is outsourced. Accounting, payroll administration is also outsourced. So when you talk about these internal services, those external which I talked about earlier, and this combining A and B, it's a huge sector. And this sector is actually contributing more than 50% to our GDP. And therefore, this sector is really, really growing, and career opportunities in that sector are more. And therefore, it's important for you to think about knowing this sector. The reasons why this sector is growing are quite a few, but some of them are that there is an affluence. There is an increasing affluence. Whatever people may talk about, but the fact is that we as Indians, we find that our overall per capita income has increased, our purchasing power has increased, and people are buying services like pest control for the home, personal security, interior design, and so on. People do have a leisure time, so the travel agents have come up, resorts have come up, vacation entertainment has come up, even adult education programs have come up in a big way in India. The life expectancy has gone up. In fact, the data which is available that over the last 20-30 years, the life expectancy which was under 50 is now roughly about 68 or 70 years. So average life expectancy has gone up. To that extent, it is giving rise to a lot of services like nursing homes, healthcare, periodical blood test, sugar test, blood pressure test. And today, everybody in the market is aware of their condition of health. I am aware that my grandfather never cared to go to a hospital every 3 months for blood check and so on. But today, when I look at myself or I look at my colleagues, they are aware of their condition of their health. They even say that, no sir, I'm diabetic, so I will not, don't give me sugar. Oh, my blood pressure is high, I will not eat fried stuff and so on. So that awareness has gone up. The other reason for growth in the service sector is product complexity. Products have become very, very complex. Look at water purifier 30 years ago. My grandmother used to have a water purifier in the form of 2 steel jars. There was one steel jar kept over the other steel jar. In the night, servicing of a water purifier meant that clean both the jars and load the top jar with the more fresh water, and then close the kitchen. In the morning, in the lower jar, she will get the filtered water which she can, there is a tap with which she can use the water. But today we have those water purifier reverse osmosis. At least I don't know how to service it, so I find it very convenient to ring up someone with the annual service contract, and I don't mind paying. So products have become quite complex, like the after sale service for air conditioners, for water purifiers, and many other things. So that is where we find that the service sector has grown. Life has become far more complex. For example, you need to have a PAN number, whether you have income or no income, but you have to file your income tax returns, or legal advisors on various issues, or marriage counselors, and so on. Resource scarcity and ecology. I remember my father never took his car for pollution control check, but I have to take my car for a pollution certificate every 3 months or so. Otherwise, I'm always scared that I may be caught and fined. Why? Because the government doesn't want those cars should be plying on roads which pollute the environment. So the pollution control has become a very important factor today. That has given rise to that service which was not existing, that is pollution control, pollution check, certification, and so on. And new products have come up in the market. I'd say 20 years ago, we had that video parlors. You can go to a video parlor and get the video cassette of a movie. Where those parlors have gone? They have vanished from the scene. PCOs have virtually vanished from the scene. Today, cyber cafes are now vanishing because internet is available on your mobile phone. So, new things keep happening and new things are coming up. Emergence of mall, single roof retailing. Now, these are the phenomena which have come up, and the retail has become a big service today. Even in small cities, you will see that there are single roof shops. Even the local Kirana shops are giving you that kind of an experience. Today, the local Kirana shop has also changed their store layout. Earlier on, you had to go to the shop and ask for ek toothpaste de do, ek ye de do, ek ye de do, and the shopkeeper's boy will, our employee will collect everything and give it to you. But today, the shopkeepers have changed their layout. They give you a basket, and with that basket, you can move around and pick up, and they do the billing. So even that kind of an experience is coming up, and it's a new kind of a service, new kind of a thing. So friends, because of that, the service sector has grown, and it's contributing significantly to the Indian economy. And it's a huge sector, in fact. I look at in my own colony, you ring up someone for plumbing job, you ring up someone for a mason job. I was speaking to somebody just 2 days ago, and I told him that it rained a few days ago, and there was a seepage in my house. So perhaps there is a crack on the roof. Can you come and do the repair? He said, yes, sir, I will come on Sunday and do the waterproofing of your rooftop, so that during the rainy season you don't have any problem. Now this is again a service that he will come and do the inspection and so the line of demarcation between goods and service is very thin. Don't say that waterproofing wo lagayega, so how can that become a service? The fact is, I am hiring someone service advice to do the waterproofing. When I am buying the car, it's a good. When I am hiring the car, it's a service. So the line of demarcation between the two is very thin. And that is where, I always say that the service sector complements the manufacturing sector and the agriculture sector. So therefore, let us develop some more clarity on the myths about the services sector. The first myth about the service sector is that the service economy produces services at the expense of other sectors, which are agriculture and manufacturing. The fact is it's not. Actually, services sector, they contribute to the consumption of manufactured goods. Take for example a hospital. The hospital consumes so much of medicines. Take for example a hotel. The truckloads of vegetables are consumed by them. Look at Haldiram. I think more than 100 truckloads of fruits and vegetables they consume every day in a city like Delhi. So this is what we call that they complement the consumption. Look at yourself. Ever since you were born and you started attending school from the age of 3 till now, how much paper you have consumed. So education, paper, books, printing, it's a manufacturing sector. Paper is a manufactured good. Copy, pen, pencil, all that are manufactured good. But the service sector, अगर कॉलेज नहीं होते तो किताबें नहीं होती, अगर कैंची नहीं होती तो नाई नहीं होता. So there is a link between the two. So let us not say that look, service sector is growing at the cost of manufactured goods or agriculture. But these sectors, they complement each other. The second myth is service production is primarily labor intensive. Service production is not labor intensive. Large number of service organizations are capital intensive also. You look at Air India, the kind of capital expenditure which it required. The government has given 30,000 crores of rupees to revive this ailing airlines. So return on investment is very critical in the service sector also, the way it is in the manufacturing sector. Services sector is also capital intensive, and the return on investment has to be seen in the services sector also. Only then this sector can grow. The third myth about the service sector is services come later. People first satisfy their product needs. It's again a myth. If my child is sick, if I get to know that my child fell down, he broke his leg, I will not bother for lunch. I will be bothered about getting the treatment for my child. And that is where the research shows that people value services as much as products. But services they may buy in a less cyclic manner. I will explain. The research shows that people in the lower income category, they buy services in a less cyclic manner, whereas people in higher income category, they buy services on the continuous basis. Like credit. I buy credit on continuous basis. I have a credit card. Every time I buy anything, I just don't carry money in my pocket. I just produce a credit card and I pay once in a month to that bank and issue a check. Whereas somebody who is working at the construction site, he doesn't have a credit card. He will go to the ठेकेदार and say, pagar, advance de do. So in the services sector, yes, people in the higher income category, they buy it on continuous basis. I may have a health check, annual health check, arrangement with a hospital. In that hospital, I may be allowed to go 4 times in a year to go for a complete blood, urine and a total health check. But somebody who is working at the construction site will go to the hospital only when the person is sick. So that is the difference. The fourth myth about the service sector is service sector, government sector is in the services. Today, large number of services are being privatized. Telephone, we have seen it in the mobile phone. Yes, there was a time जब टेलीफोन सरकार से मिलता था, हमें महानगर टेलीफोन निगम में जाके टेलीफोन के लिए अप्लाई करना पड़ता था और 3 साल 4 साल के बाद टेलीफोन आता था. Today you can go and buy a mobile phone connection over the counter, and as many many copies of your document, identity proof you have. So telephone, healthcare, airlines, power generation, distribution, they are being privatized. So large number of services are increasingly being privatized. And the last myth about that is the services business are cottage industries, service jobs are low paying. Service companies are not cottage industries. In fact, in the Fortune 500 companies list, if you look at the top 10, there are large number of companies are actually service companies. Citibank might figure there, or Walmart figures there. Infosys is a service company, which is a huge big company. So in fact, and the kind of jobs which you have, think of a pilot of an airlines, how much salary they get, how much a specialist working in a super specialty hospital might be getting as a salary per month. So service jobs are not low paying, they are equally remunerative like manufacturing. And therefore, friends, you have to think very positive about this sector. The sector is growing, the career opportunities are huge in that sector. You need to develop yourself for that sector, and therefore there is a need for you to catch up with marketing issues in the services sector, which with the support of CEC, we will take you, or EduSet, we will take you through one by one. So coming to the definition of services, what do we mean by a service? Services are activities. It's always a plural. An act, an activity. And remember, there cannot be a second chance in the services sector. Services cannot be returned. You bought a wristwatch, you are not happy with it, you go to the shop and say, I am not very happy, I bought it 2 hours ago, my wife didn't like it, my friend didn't like it, so I want to change it. Services cannot be returned. That you go to the hospital, you take the treatment, then you go back and you say that, no, I'm not happy, you return my money and so on. Oh, you have taken the time of the hospital, equipment's time on you and so on. So services are activities, and there cannot be returned. You go for a haircut, you can't say, look, you have given me a wrong haircut, so now you return my hair back, I will go to other barber. No, it cannot be returned. So services are activities, more or less series of activities which are intangible in nature. What is tangible and intangible? The difference between tangible and intangible is, tangible things you can sense from your 5 senses: sight, touch, smell, and so on. Hear. So आपकी जो 5 इंद्रियां हैं, you can experience that is tangible. But services are intangible in nature. They are normally, not necessarily takes place in interaction. The interaction is a must. If I don't know where to go to get the money in a bank, I will not get the money. If you go to the doctor and you have to tell the doctor what is the problem with you, you have to tell him about the symptoms, only then they will explore it further. So interaction is a must between the customer and the employees of the physical resource, and typically, invariably, in majority of the cases, we interact with the people. If I want a particular seat in an airlines, I have to tell them, give me a window seat. Only then they will give me a window seat. If I don't ask for a window seat, they may not give me a window seat. If I want a seat in the front, and if there is a seat available, they will give me the seat in the front. And that is what it is, that the interaction is a must in the services sector. Like in a class, if you have a doubt, you ask. If you don't ask, then you will not understand. If you come to the class and go off to sleep, you will not understand anything. So therefore, we call it the interaction is a must in the services sector or with the physical resource. And that interaction actually leads to the delivery of service. So arising out of the discussion or definition which I have taken you through, services are activities for consumption, customer participation is a must, and so there is no ownership. Physical goods are ownership. If you have a Apple phone with you, it's a possession. It's a wonderful possession you have. If you are having a diamond ring, wearing a diamond ring, it's a physical possession. But services are expenditures. Like I am a member of a club, so membership fee is an expenditure. Every month, every year, I have to pay the membership fee to remain a member of that particular club and so on. So services, in the services sector, there is no ownership. Now let us come to the marketing issues in the services sector, and the genesis of the marketing issues in the service sector is that services have 4 unique characteristics. The services are intangible, services are heterogeneous, services are perishable, services are inseparable. The meaning is, if I tell you in one line that services are intangible, services don't have a shape or a form. You cannot see it beforehand. Like eating in a restaurant is an experience. This experience cannot be defined or showcased. Services are heterogeneous. You go to a doctor, today he may give you the good treatment. Tomorrow you go to the same hospital, the doctor is not there, a junior doctor is there, he may not give you the right treatment. So the services vary. I go to the bank, the person knows me across the counter, he not only wishes me but do my job very quickly. Next time when I go, that person has been transferred, new person has come, he doesn't care at all for me. So that is where college services are variable. Variability element is very high in the services sector. As against physical goods, you buy hammam soap in Delhi, in Hapur, in Haridwar, it's just going to be the same. Perishability, services perish. A bottle of mineral water is not sold today, can be sold tomorrow. But a dentist who can attend to 6 patients in a day, if only 2 patients come, tomorrow he cannot see 10 patients. If a flight is leaving the airport with 20 seats vacant, the revenue for those 20 seats has gone forever. That airlines cannot sell those 20 seats tomorrow, more than 20, more than their capacity. The aircraft has 120 seats, they cannot sell 140 seats tomorrow. So that is where we call this perishable. And the services are inseparable. Services cannot be separated from the person who perform. For example, if there is a Amitabh Bachchan night, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is coming to your city and giving a performance. He is a celebrity. Or Lata Mangeshkar night. Anuradha Podwal doing the same thing cannot be, may sing the same songs of Lata Mangeshkar, but there is a difference. So services cannot be separated from the people who perform. A surgery done by a doctor, you still insist on a particular doctor that us doctor se surgery karwani hai. Surgery, the process of surgery remains the same. You know, hundreds of such surgeries are done, thousands of such surgeries are done in India every day. But you still feel that, oh, no, that doctor is very good, so we'll get. So services cannot be separated from the person who perform. For example, in Kota, Bansal tutorials, for example, you know, to get admitted into Bansal tutorial, people even take coaching. It's a very interesting phenomenon we find. So services cannot be separated from the people who perform it. And that is where we call one by one, we look at that in the service sector, these are the 4 characteristics. These characteristics, they pose definite marketing challenges, and addressing those challenges is marketing in the services sector. I just have less than 15 minutes, so I will spend 2 minutes on each of that, and then I'll try to summarize. That when I talk about intangibility, the meaning of intangibility is services cannot be seen, cannot be felt, services cannot be stored, they cannot be displayed. So there is a communication problem, but the strategies which companies use is they give symbolic clues, like a gold card. The gold card, credit card, will be golden in color. Platinum card will be black in color. Silver card is silver. So they give you clues, associate symbols of service, tangible clues. Word of mouth is very important in service sector. Corporate image is very important. Organization image is very important in service sector. In the manufacturing sector, they call it brand positioning. Like a brand called Surf, and the same company has another brand, Rin. The Rin is positioned separately as against Surf Excel. But in services sector, it is SBI or it is Air India. So organization image is very important. Coming to the second aspect, which is perishability, that services cannot be stored, they cannot be put into inventory. And the strategies which companies use is you manage the demand, you manage the fluctuations in demand. Therefore, forecasting is important. Supply management is important. And companies actually come out with delivery processes. For example, a fast food outlet. A fast food outlet will have a better delivery process. You might see that 6 o'clock flight have a lower fare. 9 o'clock flight will have a full fare. Why 6 o'clock flight has a lower fare? Because they know that people will otherwise would prefer to go to take a 9 o'clock flight. So therefore, that is the second aspect. The third is services are variable heterogeneity. The variability will be there because their services are provided by people. But the answer is also in that you better standardize. Standardize people. You standardize people through training. In the IT sector, they pick up electronic engineer, computer science engineers, civil engineer, mechanical engineer, biotechnology engineers, and give them training for 6 months. And these guys, they start working in the IT sector, irrespective of their background. That is the role training has. And automation which they use. So friends, if I summarize, in the services sector, we find because of these 4 characteristics of services, services do have a product element. What is the market offer? The market of Indigo Airlines is very different than a full service airlines like Jet Airways. Indigo Airlines doesn't give you a pillow. They don't give you a blanket. They don't give you a newspaper. They don't give you such a hot sizzling food. If you want to eat, they give you a sandwich which is cold and for which you have to pay. So there is a product element, positioning strategy. So the Indigo Airlines is able to position themselves as an airlines which conform to the time schedules, on-time arrivals. They might do whatever they do it, but the perception is that this is an airline which flies on time. In fact, it's the youngest airlines for the last, came up in the last 6-7 years, but they have the largest market share. So there is a positioning strategy, promotion and education. I think in the service sector, there is a need to educate customers how to use the services. I like to give you the example, the busiest airport in the world, if you go, you don't get lost, because if you follow the signs, you will not get lost. But you go to All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, you are totally lost because there is no signage there. Even a medicine, it is written on the bottle, shake it well before you use. They educate you how to use the medicine. If you are using, taking a syrup, so they tell you shake the bottle before you use it. They also suggest that store it in a cool, dry place. So they educate you how to preserve, store the medicine. Physical evidences are important, place are important, price is important, people are important, delivery processes are important, productivity and quality are important in the services sector. So friends, in the services sector, when I look at that, the orange line which you are seeing, so far you thought, you as a company, you look at your customers and develop the right product for your customers, make it available at the right price, and communicate effectively about the goodness about the product and make it available at the right place. So 4 P's. But in the services sector, it is the employees who deliver the service. In the services sector, it is being said that internal marketing is very important. Satisfied employees are very important. In the service sector, employees come first, customers come second. The rationale is dissatisfied employees cannot create satisfied customers. And therefore, some amount of marketing has to be targeted at employees. And that is where internal marketing is a prerequisite in the services sector. Marketing doesn't mean that you give a slogan. For example, Delhi Police has a slogan, "With you, for you, always." But most citizens in Delhi, they feel Delhi Police is not as effective as they project to be. They are, these days, on their vans it is written, "Hum turant karwai karte hain." But we read in the newspapers that the investigations are rather slow in that regard. And I was reading even in today's newspaper, somebody in a hotel had a fall and admitted in Fortis Hospital. The family is running from pillar to post, but the police investigations are still slow. One of the minister's wife passed away under circumstances which are questionable. Even investigation, even in Economic Times yesterday, there was a story about that. So friends, I'm not criticizing anybody, I'm just narrating what I read in the media. And I'm just giving examples what I read in the newspapers. So I think in the service sector, what is more important, that everybody must have that orientation, whether you are in human resource, whether you are in operations, whether you are in marketing, but the customer orientation is a must. And in this orientation, the information and technology should be put at the heart of it. Only then you can have information about the customers, information about the service employees available to the company. The way in the healthcare sector they are able to integrate technology, the way they are able to integrate in the retail banking, the way they are able to integrate information and communication and technology in the courier business and many other businesses, only then the service sector can thrive. So friends, this is what I have to say today in the introductory session with you, and more we will, details we will go one by one in the subsequent inputs.
Okay, fine. It was really good introductory lectures, and one book I think the student will read is written by you. The other book which you suggest, so that they will come prepare and will listen the lectures. If you could suggest a few books that they will be helpful for the services marketing.
Yes, there's a lot of material available on services sector. I remember Indira Gandhi National Open University has done a wonderful work in creating very good material for management, all management courses. So that material is available. I'm sure in your own city, the Indira Gandhi National Open University Center will be there. So you can read the material there. I believe that a digital version of the material is also available. Otherwise, book fair is about to start, and you can visit book fair in Delhi to buy it. But that material I personally interacted and I have contributed to that material. So I know that it's a wonderful material one can refer to for the sake of reference. In fact, I was the one who was looking after the review of the material, and we revised it a few years ago, the entire material. Apart from my book, which is available in most of the stores, the book is under revision, and the revised edition is likely to come in the next few months. But friends, you just go to Google and type on the internet anything, you will get a lot of material, in fact.
Okay. So, well friends, with this word we will like to conclude the lecture, but before that we would like to say that the examples or the instances we have cited to the lecture just to make the things clear, not to tarnish the image or not to
absolutely.
criticize the others. So, just this is a kind of reference, you take it, and I hope you have got the point whatever we wanted to communicate, pass on to you, have got the concept clear with this. So, I conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture. On your behalf, I thank Dr. Ravi Shankar for giving such an insightful lecture. Thank you very much.